You know that feeling when you're in a room with people you love and no one's talking, but you still feel connected? It's this powerful, almost invisible thing. Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that, the quiet, unspoken architecture that holds so many families together even when the words just aren't there.
This quote really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? In a lot of homes, love isn't this big, loud announcement. It's more like, well, background noise, a steady, constant hum that's so familiar you barely even notice it's there. Kind of like the sound of the fridge, you know? Always running, keeping things from spoiling, quietly doing its job. And that leads us to the big question we're tackling today. When all the daily check-ins and the long conversations kind of fade out, and you're left with just routine and silence, what's the glue? What's the invisible force that's still holding everyone together? To figure that out, let's walk through a day in the life of a family just like this.
All right, so our story starts in the morning. This is that time of day when everyone is kind of in their own separate world, right? Getting ready, moving around a shared space, but basically orbiting each other without ever really connecting.
So picture this. The first person up is often a parent, moving through the quiet house. And they're not just brewing coffee. They're taking this silent inventory. They notice these little clues, an uneaten lunch, a light left on, that tell a story about the people they love. But they don't say anything. They just observe, file it away, and keep doing things like making food that they're not even sure will get eaten.
Meanwhile, inside their heads, something really interesting is happening. You can see their thoughts are running on these parallel tracks. The parent's thinking, as long as they eat, we're okay. Their standard for fine has become something really practical. And at the same time, the grown child is making this promise to themselves, I'll connect more later. They both care a lot, but their good intentions just never seem to intersect. And then you've got the sibling, the quiet observer who sees it all. They notice the goodbyes are getting shorter, the pauses in conversation just hang there. But they've learned a really tough lesson. Calling out the silence doesn't actually fix it. In fact, sometimes it just makes it feel heavier. So they watch, and they learn, and they become a part of the quiet too.
Okay, now let's skip ahead to the evening. This is when everyone is physically back together in the same space. But honestly, that's when the distance can feel the biggest. They're all there, but they're not really with each other. Oh, this is such a classic, isn't it? The question, did you eat, becomes the stand-in for how are you doing, or are you okay? And why? Well, because food is safe. It's a real, tangible thing. It's a way to show you care without opening the door to a big, messy, emotional conversation that, frankly, nobody really has the energy for at the end of the day. So, what about when things get tense? You don't get big shouting matches, nope. Instead you get this whole other language, a really loud sigh, a door that slams just a little too hard. These are signals. Everybody in the house knows exactly what they mean without a single word being spoken. It's how you solve problems in a place that's built to avoid them. And all of this creates this atmosphere of, well, coexistence. You know the scene. The TV's on, but is anyone really watching? Everyone's scrolling on their phones. You're all in the same room, but each person is in their own little bubble. It's not exactly loneliness because you're together, but it's not really being present either. And let's be real, that strange, quiet space can be incredibly frustrating.
But that quiet, steady routine, it can break. And all it takes is one little crack, one tiny moment that just shatters the rhythm and shows you what's really been holding everything together all along.
And it's something so simple, something that happens all the time. Someone's just not home when they're supposed to be. No call, no text, just an empty space where a person should be. And just like that, everything shifts. The whole feeling in the house just changes. That comfortable background silence is gone, and what's left is a silence that feels sharp. It feels loud, it's full of anxiety. Every tick of the clock suddenly feels deafening.
And in that one moment, something amazing happens. Remember those separate orbits we were talking about? Suddenly they all snap into perfect alignment. The parent, the sibling, the grown child, they might not be talking, but they are all completely united in one mission. They are all listening for the exact same thing, the sound of a key turning in the lock.
And then the door opens. The tension just evaporates. But you don't get this big, dramatic reunion. You get 3 small words. You're late. But wow, those 3 words are doing so much work. They are packed with a whole universe of unspoken feeling, concern, fear, massive relief, and deep, deep care, all squeezed into one tiny, understated sentence. And just that quickly, it's over. Everyone goes back to their quiet corners.
That moment of crisis, it reveals everything.
It's like pulling back a curtain and finally seeing the real structure that's holding this family together. It's not about what's being said, it's about what is so deeply, profoundly felt. This is the architecture of kinship.
So here it is, the big idea. We're calling it the quiet architecture. It's this invisible framework, built not with conversation, but with the bricks and mortar of daily routine, shared memories, unspoken worries, and just pure habit. Presence, not words, is the main building material here. So what does this care actually look like in practice? Well, it's all of these small, quiet actions. It's waiting up for someone without making a big deal about it. It's cooking enough for everybody, just in case. It's noticing someone's in a bad mood and just giving them space. And most importantly, it's that split-second unified response when you realize something might actually be wrong. And really, the foundation of this whole thing is an unspoken agreement. It's like a contract that everyone has signed without ever reading the words. And the terms are pretty simple. We may not talk about everything. We might live in our own little worlds, but we are always paying attention. We see you, we're here.
So I guess I have to turn the question back to you. As we've been going through this, has any of it rung a bell? Have you seen little pieces of your own family, your own relationships in this story? Have you ever noticed this quiet architecture at work in your own life?
And maybe that's the final thought to leave you with. This quiet, sometimes confusing, sometimes frustrating way of being together. It isn't a lack of love. It is love. It's a different form of it, one that's lived instead of spoken. It's that background noise we started with. And maybe the whole journey is just learning how to tune in and finally hear the love in all that silence.